Roll call, may you please take roll call? Yes. Student trustee Ha,
Present.
President Almendras,
Present.
Vice President Fernandez,
Present.
Chief Staff Patino, Speaker Del Show, Treasurer Basta, Graphic Designer Dahi,
Present.
Web Administrator Suarez,
Present.
Chairperson Chidari,
Present.
Chairperson Murtaza,
Present. She's present.
okay, Chairperson, your Chairperson Celestino,
Present.
okay, Chairperson, Representative Youssef,
Present.
Representative Beltran, Representative Cruz, Representative Perdue, Representative Guerrero,
Present.
Representative Hebeli, Representative Sharma,
Present.
Representative Ansari.
Nope.
Okay, Representative Giron,
Present.
Representative Erlbacher,
Present.
Representative Goman, Representative Patel, Representative Cordova, Representative Bielavska,
Present.
Representative Bozila,
Present.
Representative Caballes, Representative Dasgupta, Representative Slaughter, Representative Zafar, Representative Saadi, Representative Mehta, Representative Khadir, Representative Rodriguez, Representative Ali,
Present.
Representative Zhang,
Present.
Representative Lin,
Present.
Representative Preobrazhenskia,
Here.
Representative Omni,
Present.
Representative Dean,
Present.
Representative Al Adwan.
Present.
Thank you. The next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, then the minutes will stand as approved. Next order of business? Oh. Okay. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comments. Is there anyone with the public comments? No. Okay. The next order of business is guest speakers. First, we have Sarah Baum from Student Legal Services.
Let's see. Is it best if I don't want to stand behind you guys? Can you guys hear me if I?
Yeah, you
stand
can
back
also
here?
bring the mic
Okay.
with you if you
I
want.
can't, okay.
It might be like wrapping in, sorry.
I don't want to like cause any. Okay, all right, thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Sarah Baum and I am the Director of Student Legal Services. You can go on to the next slide, actually. So tonight I'm just gonna spend a little bit of time telling you who we are, what we do, why UIC has student legal services, and then how you can utilize our services. Next slide. So who we are. So again, my name is Sarah. Student Legal Services has been understaffed for the last couple of years, so I'm really excited for the chance to get in front of students, especially student reps like you guys, to let you know that we're back up and running and available to meet with students who have legal issues. So if you go on to the next slide, it has a little bit of information about me. So I am an attorney licensed in the state of Illinois. I graduated from DePaul College of Law in 2008 and have been practicing law ever since. I got my start in doing legal services at Legal Aid Chicago. And then I actually spent about 5 years doing student legal services at DePaul. And then I worked in student affairs for a bit. And then I just came here about a little over a month ago, and I am the only full-time staff person in student legal services. And on the next slide, I'll tell you about Lindsay Ditto is a part-time attorney who works in our office. Her title is Assistant Legal Counsel. She's also an attorney licensed in Illinois, graduated in 2007 from Northwestern, and also has a background in legal aid. All right, next slide. So what we do, when I started off in student legal services, people would always ask me, what kind of legal issues do students have? And I would always tell people that students are just people like anyone else and have issues and problems come up just like anyone else. But I'll go over some of the most common things students come to us for help with. The first, probably biggest thing is housing. So if you click through, it'll say a little bit more about the types of cases we can help with. So under housing, we are willing to do lease reviews. So if people are about to enter into a lease and would like an attorney to take a look and advise them on what the terms are, that's one thing we can do. We also can help people who are having trouble getting a security deposit back from a landlord. We can help students who are facing evictions. And one thing a lot of people don't think about is roommate agreements. So when people enter into a lease, they're entering into agreement with the landlord. But often, especially students, are often living with each other and might want to have agreements with their roommates. And we can help groups of students or pairs of students who would like to formalize a relationship between themselves about things like how they'll divide rent, utilities. And there's all sorts of other housing issues that come up. We're happy to talk to students about those. We also, with a large population here of international students, undocumented students, other immigrants, immigration is an issue that people come to us with questions about. So questions about from people who are documented, people who are dreamers, people have questions about visas, legal permanent residency and citizenship. We're also able to help people with criminal and traffic issues, so traffic tickets, misdemeanor charges, city ordinance violations. We're also willing to help people who have a past criminal record that they would like to have expunged or sealed on their record. The next slide goes through some other areas that students might have questions about. So under family law and domestic violence, students may have an issue where they need to get an order of protection. We have adult students who have divorce, custody, and child support issues. Under consumer law, we'll help students who are dealing with debt and advise on how to deal with debt collectors, students who are the victims of crimes or in particular identity theft, people who have issues with defective products or utility services. And then finally, one of the big areas is employment. So if a student is asked to sign an employment contract before taking on a job, we're happy to review an employment contract. We can also help if someone is the victim of discrimination on the job or loses their job and has to apply for unemployment benefits, and also students who don't get paid. So we would handle wage and hour cases. Next slide. And we would do pretty much meet with students on almost any matter. And if it's not an issue that we can provide assistance on, we can help provide referrals to students to meet with an attorney outside of UIC that's in a better position to help. Next slide. We do have some limitations on our services, so we are not able to advise or represent one student against another student, or a student against the university or the state of Illinois. And the reason for that is it's a conflict of interest. So because those of us in our office are employees of the university and the state, we would not be in the best position to help a student who is adverse to the university or another student. But in that case, we can provide referrals. And we do not take cases for full representation or represent students in court, and that's because we're so small right now. It's just the two of us who are available to help students. So next slide. So what we can do is provide advice, which is basically educating students about their legal rights and helping students understand the legal system and help students analyze the risks and benefits of certain decisions. So for instance, if a student is trying to decide whether to sign a contract or not, we can talk to them about the pros and cons of any particular course of action. Limited scope representation. So basically, we would help advocate for students if we felt like we might be able to help resolve a dispute. That might involve sending a letter to a landlord or calling an opposing party to try to negotiate a settlement. And we could also help students prepare legal documents and forms. So in Illinois, for instance, there's some statewide court forms that we could help students find and fill out if they decided they were going to represent themselves in a case. And then finally, I mentioned this, but we can also provide referrals. So referring students to attorneys for extended representation if that's needed, and also directing students to self-help resources if they're in a position to assist or to represent themselves. So students who are currently enrolled are eligible for our services. If it's a break, like summer break, and a student's enrolled in the next term, we can assist them as well, as long as the student hasn't graduated. Once students graduate, we would not be able to help. And our service is free. We are funded by student fees, so students in a sense have already paid for our services. Our office is funded out of the student service fee that you guys pay. Next slide. One thing that's I think is really important to mention is confidentiality. So all visits to our office are strictly confidential. If you click through, there's some other points, but basically anything you share with student legal services is protected by rules of attorney-client confidentiality. So we won't reveal information you share with us without your informed consent. And this includes other university offices. So even though I work out of the Dean of Students office and Student Affairs, outside of Student Legal Services, we would not share information that you tell us unless you wanted us to. And the same thing applies if a parent calls us up or a spouse or significant other. We're not legally able to disclose information about the people that come to see us and what their issues are unless they want us to talk to somebody. And the reason for confidentiality is because attorneys really can't help people unless people feel comfortable sharing all the facts and information about their case. And so this is an ethical rule for attorneys, and we take it very seriously that we won't share your information outside of our office. Okay, next slide. So then a lot of people want to know why universities provide student legal services. And I start by explaining that we, again, operate out of the Dean of Students, and I thought it was instructive to put up the mission of Dean of Students, which is to provide a student-centered learning environment that offers support, advocacy, and resources that contribute to student success. And those are the values listed there. So I really view student legal services as fitting in with like a holistic way of caring for students. So along with things like counseling, a wellness center, support for academics, it's all part of being able to be a successful student. So we know that when students are in distress, it puts them at risk for not graduating, for struggling in school. And legal issues can cause a huge amount of distress to students. And so it's an important part of taking care of students. So on the next slide, I have sort of how we specifically fit within the mission of the Dean of Students. So we serve as a voice for students to address their legal needs and facilitate problem solving and conflict resolution. Again, we try to help students achieve their educational goals if a legal problem threatens to push them off track. And we provide student-client individual service, counseling, and recommendations. And the last bullet point also just talks about, there should be one more, the fact that we try to respect every student's personal values, including their diversity of cultural and other values, religious values. So when students come to us, we try to be sensitive to their needs and their individual experiences. Okay, next. Okay. How to use us. So we are located over in the Student Services Building, 1200 West Harrison. It's best to make an appointment with us. I will see walk-ins, but I'm not always in the office, so if a student makes an appointment, then they know that someone will be there. We offer both in-person and online appointments, and we're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 on days when the university is not on holiday or break. And the best way right now to reach us is emailing us, studentlegalservices@uisc.edu, to make an appointment, and I also have my phone number there as well. Next slide. We also are willing to speak on particular legal issues, so we offer preventive legal education on various areas of the law. So if you're part of another group, student group or fraternity or sorority, and want us to come present on a topic, we're happy to do that as well. Things I've presented on in the past include knowing your rights in police encounters, drug and alcohol laws, and actually on the next slide, I have some upcoming presentations. I'm doing, we had the first one last Friday, but there's a renters' rights for quality housing presentation this Friday on Zoom, and a week from today on Monday at 6 on Zoom or in person downtown in the Loop. It's actually at DePaul because I teach a clinic there where we're giving these presentations, but they're open to the public, and I'd love for UIC students to attend, particularly if they're having an issue with their housing. In that presentation, we talk about primarily how Chicago renters can enforce their rights to quality housing. And then on November 21st, our presentation is called Bad Things Happen to Good People, Make Your Plan. And it's about, I don't know if any of you guys are thinking about this yet, but what happens if something happens to you, you can no longer manage your affairs, like your healthcare decisions or your finances. And you might not think that that's something important for young people or college students, but it's actually very important for every adult to have a power of attorney document that appoints someone to handle their affairs if they cannot help handle them themselves, if they became incapacitated. So I know some of these are probably getting into the time when you guys have finals, but these are some of the types of presentations that I'm happy to give at any time in the year if anyone wants us to come present. If anyone's interested in those events, they're listed on our website. The website's listed there, or you can just Google Student Legal Services at UIC, and it'll take you to our website, which has links to how to register for these events. So I think that's the end, but I'm happy to take questions from anyone that has questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Director Baum's presentation?
All right, well, if you think of anything, feel free to write to me. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, sorry, we actually took the question.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, is it online?
Yeah, just one question.
Yeah.
So if we have a lease agreement, or if a student has a lease agreement that they would like for it to be looked over, can they just email it to you?
Yeah, just email us with your student ID number, and typically we'll still set up an appointment, but that's a really good point. If you set up an appointment, that's great if you can send us your lease or any other documents before the appointment so that we have a chance to review whatever you sent. But yeah, for sure.
Just a follow-up question. So, when we last met, you asked, or we talked about promoting student legal services. Is that still something you would like us to do?
Oh, absolutely. So, I know you guys are representatives for a couple of different colleges, and however you see fit to spread the word that we're available. I know that many students might not know that we're available, so yeah, I'd love your assistance in just spreading it.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for joining us this evening.
One more question for your presentation, and student work is ongoing. And the students, I heard you mentioned international students, but is that your specific for your major?
So any student who's currently enrolled is free to use our services. And in fact, we have a lot of international students who come to us for assistance for a variety of reasons. So absolutely, we're happy to see any enrolled student, but especially international students who might not know the laws here or find themselves, I don't know, a lot of people will target international students for scams, things like that. So that's definitely a population.
Are there any other questions?
Do you have any students that are available in the hospital?
That's a good question. Not right now, but I'm exploring it just because we're sort of getting back up and running. And so I'm talking to the law school about possibly getting externships for law students. And I know there are a lot of pre-law students. So I think eventually, and I'm meeting actually it's on Wednesday with the pre-law advisor to talk about what we can provide for students. We are kind of small, and so I'm always mindful that if we take on volunteers or employees, that they have meaningful stuff to do. So I want to get to a position where I've better thought out what roles and positions, but if we do create any volunteer or employment opportunities, I'll be sure to let you guys know.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, thank you again so much for joining us this evening. Yeah, I think, obviously, legal help is definitely, every student, needs, so, thank you for your work in helping us, and if there's anything, student government can do to, help your office, please let us know, but, yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, you're welcome to stay if you want, but, no hard feelings.
Okay. All right, thanks again.
Thank you. With that, we move on to our next order of business, which is old business. First year of resolution 2022 F9/1007. Representative Tayo, would you please read this for us?
I'd like to.
Oh, you can read it first and then.
Oh,
Someone can read it.
so resolution.
Sorry, we're just having a
Whereas the undergraduate student government will be hosting a community event called Let's Talk Black Women in Mental Health. Whereas the objective of this event is for Black women who are students to have the opportunity to have a conversation about mental health and their experiences as students at UIC. Whereas the event will take place, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Just keep reading it all the way through and then I'll ask for
Oh, okay. So we go ready. Took place on November 8th. Do I read the original or do I read
read the original.
November 18th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. at the African American Cultural Center in Arts Hall. That the UIC undergraduate student government will be resolved that the UIC undergraduate student government will allocate a maximum amount of $350 to cover the cost of catering, refreshments, delivery, and guest accommodation. Let it be further resolved that any amount that is not usually returned to the UIC budget.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or amendments regarding this resolution?
I would like to make an amendment.
There's been a motion to make an amendment. We can go ahead and make a motion.
Whereas I would like to make the amendment that in the place of November 18th, it'll say taking place during 15th. And I'd like to also amend the amount allocated to the event from, go from 350 to 140.
Sorry, could you say the last amount a little?
140.
140, okay. There's been an amendment to change November 18th to November 15th, correct?
During the week 15.
During the week of November 15th?
No, the week of, like week 15 of the academic calendar.
Okay, there's been a motion to change November 18th to week 15, as well as to change $350 allocated to $140 allocated. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then the motion carries. Are there any other questions, comments, or amendments? We will be voting on this tonight.
My
Oh, yes, Or can be,
Yeah, what's the actual date?
yeah, do you have an actual date for that?
So it is tentatively supposed to be held during the week of November 28th. The reason why I pushed the date from November 18th is because that was the date and time of the homecoming dance. And I just thought it would be better to move it to a day that would be less busy, because I know homecoming is a huge CSI event. And I just wanted to make sure we could have the best turnout possible. And since it is a mental health event, I also thought because I'm going to be holding it during week 15, I could also possibly tie in, final stress. And we could also discuss that during the conversation at the actual event.
Yes, can be.
So is it on November 28th?
It would be tentatively during the week of November 28th. I'm
Okay.
trying to see if specifically I can do it Thursday, December 1st.
Okay,
Because Monday, November 28th would conflict with the USG meeting for 6 days. Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, Secretary Danya?
So through meetings and conferences, they don't hold reservations if they're not fully sure on like all the details. They can tell you what's available, but it's not to guarantee that during that week, things will be open, especially considering it's what are we at, week 11?
So for this event, I'm holding it at the African American Cultural Center.
Oh.
So I didn't roll through meetings and conferences to book the room. I only had to do an African American Cultural Center space request, and they do it on their own website. Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, President Rodriguez?
Would this event be open to all students?
It would be open to all students, but we would specifically be focusing on Black women. But you don't have to be exclusively a Black woman to attend.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Treasurer Foster?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why you changed the dollar amount that we're allocating for this.
I did change the dollar amount because we did discuss maybe like kind of cutting back on the food. Because we did have, since the African American Cultural Center is doing a fee waiver for meetings and conferences, since we're a registered student organization, we don't have to pay for the room. We were really just doing that 350 just on the food, which I felt was kind of like a little bit excessive, because I am expecting maybe like 10 to 20 students to show up at the event. And I didn't feel like we needed as much as what was in their original budget breakdown from last week.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding, resolution 2022 F9/1007? Anyone on Zoom? All right, if not, we move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2022 F9/1007, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, then resolution 2022 F9/1007 has passed. We'll now move on to our next order of business, which is new business. There is no new business, so we will move on to our next order of business, which is user discussion. Or are there any items for discussion? If not, we will move on to our next order of business, which is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the student trustee? Here, why don't you,
Can everyone hear me?
yes.
Okay, great. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to, I think it's week 12 now, right? So, we're steadily moving forward towards the end of the semester. So this past week, I met with interim chancellor Reyes this past Friday. We touched on November and January board meetings, which will be in Chicago. We also spoke about methods to increase recruitment to undergraduate and graduate students. That's something that we've been discussing throughout the year, and it's something I look forward to continuing conversations with next semester. I also virtually attended a town hall to address the reorganization of various administrative units at UIC. This is a very important thing that's going on. It doesn't necessarily directly impact students, but it will impact the type of experience that you will get whenever you go to some of these services like enrollment, financial aid, advisement especially. So do be on the lookout for any updates you see in your email. I also participated in the student tuition advisory committee. It was a very good look in terms of how they will spend the tuition that students pay. It's very eye-opening. I also received training on UIC software switch from UIC Connection to Campus Group. The transition will help to centralize classroom reservations, event calendars, and student organizational management and so forth. I was very impressed with the software changes I saw. I think it'll be great and would encourage all of you to log on and join USG and other services that you guys can be a part of here at USC. Also held monthly meetings with DOS Keith Ellis, to maintain a consistent line of communication. We're also slowly starting to implement and roll out the new social media strategy for the office. The goal is to establish partnerships with other government bodies, organizations, departments, units, to get them to repost our content, and vice versa, so we can grow our followers count and really institutionalize our presence on the web. And then finally, I have a special announcement to make. Now, for those who listen to me and follow my social media, you guys already know about this, but for those who didn't, I'm happy to announce that Amazon is back as a food vendor for the University of Illinois system. This was 11 months in the making. It preceded my time as student trustee. I do want to thank the system, leadership at Urbana, UIC, and Springfield for making it happen. And we look forward to using it. So good luck everyone with the initiative events. Let's do it.
If not, then the report of the student trustee will be filed. We will now move on to our next order of business, which is officer reports. Please have the report.
So, firstly, no office hours are tomorrow, as it's midterm elections. So if you want to schedule a meeting to talk about anything, just send me an email. My email is there on my report. Yeah, just continuing on with the student survey. Again, we need this data to support our initiatives. And I think each and every committee and its members have been doing a great job to provide feedback for the survey. I can just tell already it's going to be a great survey. So yeah, in the past week, I met with Autumn Henderson from Faculty Affairs. So she's going to help us officiate the USG Faculty OER Leadership Award. This is an award for those who don't know to recognize faculty who use open education in their classrooms. And in addition to this, I got another great piece of good news is that the Provost's office has agreed to fund the initiative. It's only 1,500, so I think that's why they agreed to it, but still a great win for the award. So I'm hoping that we can start nominations as soon as next semester. So this will greatly improve, hopefully, the usage of open education here at UIC. I also talked with Associate Vice Chancellor for Auxiliary Services and Charles Farrell, who is the Director for Business Operations for the dining hall. So we talked about the dining services contract, which, if you didn't know, Chartwell, the company that kind of has a monopoly over our dining services, is going under review. And we talked about two things I want to include in the contract. And these numbers can vary, but I'm hoping to include at least 400 donated meal swipes for food insecure students and $300 credit towards catering for student organizations. So I know it's been a big issue for student organizations to find money to fund their events that need food. And all this time, Chartwell had $200 credit for student organizations. So we're hoping to include in the RFP to continue that credit line, except we're gonna hopefully increase the dollar amount from $200 to $300. Hopefully that can help student organizations out just a little bit in terms of organizing events that include food. So if this does go through, either of these, I would expect each and every member to tell their student organizations about this program. You have $300 credit. And so, yeah, I'll conduct follow-up meetings just to make sure this happens, but also to talk about campus housing concerns and dining hall concerns with Charles Fair. And I met with Rob Dixon, who is the interim vice chancellor and vice provost for student affairs. So we talked about reading and review days. Rob Dixon believes that we should go with review days, but we believe that reading days would be the much better alternative for this. Ideally, we want both, but we're still in the negotiation phase. And we'll talk this over with the working group that was formulated a few weeks ago, or is about to be formulated. And yeah, I mean, I also learned a little bit about his office. Mohammed already talked a lot about it, but it does impact the services you get from these offices, but I'm hoping to get more impact for students, more direct impact for students. So hopefully we can facilitate that conversation with him and his revised office. And yeah, I also attended the same student tuition committee meeting. Learn more about what departments are doing with their budgets that are fueled by student tuition dollars. Tuition obviously hasn't increased too much, and I think UIC plans to keep it that way. I think there's like a 2% cap that we like to stay at. But yeah, midterm elections are tomorrow, so make sure you vote if you haven't already. And yeah, just throughout this week, I'm going to be doing follow-up meetings with various stakeholders for the meals, for the dining, campus dining services contract, the USG survey, and initiatives relating to open education. With that, I yield my time for questions. Yes, ma'am.
So how exactly, and obviously there are different locations, but how would you plan on defining food insecure students? Would be eligible for, I think, one year.
Right. So, you know, that's something I was also thinking about today. I'm actually drafting several pieces of legislation just to confirm this. I'll introduce it next week. But in terms of defining food insecure students, I believe the Dean of Students has kind of their model to it. Based off the research I've been doing, it seems like most of it is self-reported, but I'm sure that's why I'm doing these follow-up meetings with the Dean of Students, the Wellness Center, and even the financial aid offices. They all play a part in assessing student needs. But for right now, I can't really tell you what makes a student food insecure, but I can tell you that I have talked to students who do face these type of problems. Like very recently, I'm not gonna talk about, but I hope that answers your question.
Does the US currently have like a?
Yeah, so I think so I did talk to them about it, and I think it's not really data they assess in the student body. They mainly use data from external sources, like organizations that survey universities from across the nation, which isn't really specific to us here at UIC. And so I mean that's where the USG survey comes into play. Hopefully we can model some questions to gauge whether students are facing these problems like food insecurity or housing security. But I did get some data from them. I believe I think, let's just say this year, I believe around only 20 students utilize their services. But I think that's not because there's 20 students who are either food insecure or having housing insecurity. I think it's because not many people know about the Dean of Students' services, nor do they really have that type of outreach. So that's something I'm hoping to hold. Any other questions?
If not, the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Hey everyone, so yeah, just working on the tailgate still. Again, last time I'll say it since it's this Friday. Please try to attend, it's from 4:30 to 6:30. Last Friday, Representative Delay and I were trying to find another vendor, but I think we're just going with Acropolis Bakery. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it in his report. So we'll have baked goods there and coffee and cocoa in our tent. So spread the word if you see anyone at the tailgate. Because we're going to try to market that since there's not like a food truck or anything to be recognizable. And I'm continuing reaching out to organizations for their presence. And like last year, we're going to do the same contest for the student org that shows up with the most amount of members and the most amount of like student org pride or USC pride. We're in need of impartial judges. So at the e-board meeting, people volunteer to come. So if they don't have the student org there, they'll help judge exactly along those parameters. And if you guys want to come and help judge, just let me know. You can be one of the judges as long as you have a student org that's going to participate in the contest. And we're also looking for ways to further engage attenders at the USG's tent. So if you have any ideas, feel free to reach out. This week I had a meeting with President Matthew, attended the e-board meeting, and had a meeting with Chief Staff Abby and President Matthew again. And I would like to allow Felix here on to speak. The Student Safety Commission. I'd like to elect him or nominate him to be commissioner. Yeah, so would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, of course. So everyone, my name is Felix. As you know, I'm part of USG. I make about a year now and the semester within USG. I'm a fourth year senior. I've been studying criminology law and justice for about 4 years now. Within criminology law and justice, I'm a transfer from Trident College, which is in the West Suburbs, where I earned an associate's degree with the same major. I'm here just to like explain like my background within criminal justice and why I'm taking initiative to lead as well as commissioner for the safety commission within USG. When it comes to academics, I was able to do that now for 4 years. I do also have some field work within criminal justice. I was able to, for those who have read my resume coming into USG, I was able to, well, not retire, but pass on as a lieutenant from the most part from the Homeland Security and Public Safety. In that work, I worked with them for 6 years. I'm also a licensed security guard in the state of Illinois. I recently just did work with 134 Haunted House, which is also in the West Suburbs. I was able to teach martial arts to young kids that were like underprivileged in my community as well. When I was there, it was really fun because they were just like, we were trying to get them out like the streets and everything. And also even right now, I'm focused with an internship with the Chicago Justice Project, which is very interesting because in regards of like what's going on right now, we were looking through a project that focuses on the Clary Act and different Clary zones that regard to USC and its premises and things that constitute as crime statistics within USC. So that's a little bit of my background, so you guys can get know a little bit more of me. And I think that should be it.
Congratulations. I can't wait to see it. That's end of my report. I yield for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding President Vice President Hernandez's report? If not, then the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasurer.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a great weekend. So first and foremost, I met with President Matthew to discuss all current expenditures, upcoming events, and potential USG initiatives. I was scheduling to meet with our advisor, Keith. I had that meeting earlier today, and we were just communicating about all upcoming events that will require funding, just trying to stay on the same page with the DS students, make sure that there are no miscommunications happening. Also collaborating with Director Felix in funding the Connecting Student Leaders event that is taking place this Thursday at Hawkeyes at 6 o'clock. yeah, I'm very excited for that. Things are going very smoothly. Also working with Vice President Michael on the logistics of USG's involvement in the tailgate this Friday. And I'd just like to shout out Representative Delai and all of her great work that she's been doing. She's really helping us out in preparing the order from our top list, which is a vendor that is approved right by campus. And yeah, so she's really helping us make this run smoothly. So thank you again. Additionally, I met with Speaker Michelle just to discuss possible locations for the USG Social. Very excited about that. I'm coordinating with the Dean of Students Office to fulfill other funding requests. And I didn't add this in the report, but I attended the bi-weekly e-board meeting. But on that note, I'd like to yield my time for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Treasurer Bassel's report? Okay, if not, then the report of the treasurer will be on. Next, we have the report of. All right, hello everyone. I hope you all had a great week. In terms of representative one-on-one meetings, thank you for all who have met with me already. For those who have not, I will reach out to you individually and create a new sign up so we can get that done. I also organized and uploaded documents to the USG box. If there's no one that knows, it is all documents for each meeting, semester, so any resolutions, reports, important documents can be found there. And it's super helpful as a reference. I have added all representatives, so please make sure you can access. And if you can't, shoot me an email. The Togo and Kindness Tabling event is this Wednesday, November 9th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll be tabling with the Mental Health and Disability Alliance. So please come stop by if you're interested in getting free hot cocoa. In terms of the mental health survey, I'm finishing up on reworking the questions, and we'll be discussing them at the MHC meeting this week. So please feel free to attend, or if you can't, just email me if you would like to provide any input. Last but not least, I have conversations with Treasurer Quinn and Interim Speaker Yasmin regarding the location of the social. We're either looking at Giordano's right now, or if that's worked out, we'll just have it at both. Hopefully Giordano's. Okay. And we're looking to hold it between November 28th and December 2nd. I sent out a form today regarding availability. So if you could fill that out by midnight tonight, that would be super helpful. At this time, I will now move the questions. Are there any questions? If not, then the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the chief of staff.
Okay, my report is very short. We had the board meeting last week, and I also met with President Matthew and Vice President Michael to discuss USG updates. I also happened to be in the office in July, and all of them were talking about tailgate, so I was able to help with some math. But other than that, it's director meetings this week, so if you have a meeting scheduled with me tomorrow, it's a holiday, so I'm not making you meet with me, but I already scheduled those, so I'll see you this.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions regarding chief of staff Abigail's report? If not, then the report of the chief of staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the diversity and inclusion chair.
Hello, are you able to hear me? Hello?
What's that?
Okay, wonderful. Oh.
You can go.
Okay, cool, wonderful. So for the cultural fair that's happening this Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. in Illinois Room AB, we've got 12 cultural organizations that have confirmed attendance, about an hour of stage performances, and around 9 to 10 organizations, I believe, that are doing not booth performances, that are doing booths. So that's really exciting. I'm going to be going around tomorrow, kind of putting up flyers everywhere to advertise for the event. And yeah, the late deadline for if you guys have any other students that are interested in maybe performing or anything is tomorrow. I'm going to be creating a set list tomorrow and kind of setting up the organization and where everybody's going to be for the event tomorrow after all the submissions have come in. For contraceptive access, Brina's reached out to OEA and they directed her to DRC, so she'll be reaching out to them this week. Gia is reaching out to the Wellness Center, and I'm actually reaching out to our sister schools to see if how students are reaching out to their administration. I've reached out to an Emma Darbrow at UIUC, who's on Planned Parenthood Generation Action, and they're actually like working towards like the same thing at UIUC. So I'm kind of getting how they're doing that at UIUC and seeing if we can implement something similar over here. Even though I know we have our the contraceptive access petition that Bonfire is doing, seeing if we can do anything further as USG. And then for Chick-fil-A, and kind of going along with contraceptive access, we'll be co-hosting a diversity and inclusion town hall. We're still figuring out the logistics with that, and then afterwards we'll pass a resolution for a town hall working with HCAB. The town hall will be open to all students, and we're looking to create a moderated panel shooting the date for the 4th week of spring semester. And then for committee member initiatives, as you guys heard, Taya wrote and introduced the Let's Talk event. Yeah, so that's all from DIC.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding Monster's report, President Elias?
Yeah, so in terms of outreach to our sister schools, just let me know. Let me know what you want to talk to them about, because I do have contacts with Champagne's student body president as well as Springfield's president. And so yeah, if you want, I can easily set up a phone call with them, or if you want to be in that meeting with them, just let me know. But I already have that contact, so
Yeah, of course, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding Monsters? Do you know what the timeline is for when the are going to be finalized with the new?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of the question.
You know what the timeline is for when the restaurants we're gonna have on, or we're having on campus is going to be finalized?
No. I haven't been informed of like when the timeline is.
But, so we for sure will, they'll be talking about it through next spring semester, right?
I believe so. I haven't been informed that the timeline has, like that Chick-fil-A or that the vendors are gonna like be finalized by the end of this semester. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'm gonna report from the diversity and inclusion chair of file. Next, we have a report of the legislative affairs.
So Chapter's not here today, so I'm reading the report. So January scheduled meeting, we'll find out tree will. We set up a meeting, the executive director of ours, present plans for the internship program within their program. So I think he's going to Springfield next semester, which is a lobby day, and it's an amazing opportunity to prepare well in advance. He attended the e-board meeting on Friday and highlighted the USG student survey, which can really benefit the organization. The survey was also discussed within the Legislative Affairs Committee weekly meetings, and he thought there was great input from everyone, whether he highlighted some amazing points. Jair is also having continuous conversation with Mick Crumback regarding the mayor letters, and you'll see him in the meeting this Thursday, and we'll discuss with him again. The voter education competition ended. It was good. It was a great experience, a great learning experience, and he decided to discuss the outcome with everyone. And if anyone has questions, to email him.
Thank you. If there are any questions regarding Dyer's report, please shoot him an email and the report for the legislative affairs should be filed. Next, we have the report of public affairs.
So if you could do deputy sheriff, we finished the reserve section of the weekend. Thank you so much for working hard on it. We have to push back sending out the newsletter because we need to advertise it more. And we have the membership for the subscription, so everyone please subscribe. And we sent out the merchandise Google form. So you can coordinator, treasurer, boss, reports and sole purchases, orders and placed, and we had our bi-weekly committee meeting on Monday. So after our meeting, we will be filming a TikTok, to showcase our members, our meeting room, and overall promote USG, other than Instagram. So we're asking everyone to participate, so please stay after the meeting for a brief period. And then if you attend the bi-weekly board meeting on Friday, any questions or concerns?
All right, are there any questions regarding the public affairs?
Can I ask?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
If you guys have any like ideas on how to promote like student government more on social media or through TikTok, please reach out to Kenby. We take a lot of like ideas from people if you found something interesting or helpful. Thank you.
We should do a pet showcase.
Oh, let me run this.
Recently my 2 turtles died.
Condolences? It's so dark.
Sorry, I tried not.
Okay. What about turtles? We're not gonna do probably that kind of thing. What we can do.
I just said
All right, Sophia, did you have something?
I am so sorry for the pet.
We should also do like member takeovers of like the.
Yeah, we can do that.
Hey, what is it?
Member takeovers, like a certain member like take over the TikTok or Instagram or something for the day. That's a little more.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding PAC chair's report? If not, then the report of the public affairs chair. Next, we have the report of the city success chair.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Not yet.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So I attended our e-board meeting this past Friday. Majority of our report is just about the USG Coffee, Cocoa, Cookies, and Career event, which will be held next Thursday, the 17th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So essentially, it's just a casual networking event, and students can stop by tables to learn more about the different career offices and grab some coffee and cookies. I will need USG members to attend and help out, so please reach out to me if you are available. We're trying to coordinate and have everyone wear USG swag if you're a USG member, and if not, UIC swag. We'll probably need members to hand out bingo cards at the door and greet people, taking pictures at the event, and just helping me make sure like tables have cookies and like checking the coffee and cocoa. Officially, the tables involved are study abroad, undergrad research experience and external fellowships, career services, LAS internships and career development, student leadership and civic engagement, and the Engineering Career Center. And at the end of the event, students can submit like bingo cards, which our committee is making at the moment, and we'll do a raffle where the winners will win UIC swag. Last week, I met with Lauren to update her on the event's progress, and she does have some fun activities planned for the table. One of them will be like a spin the wheel, so definitely attend. It'll be a fun event. We'll be having our next committee meeting this coming Thursday, the 10th. So if you'd like to get more information regarding the event, reach out to me and I can send you the Zoom link, and my email's listed right there. And lastly, we'll be getting more information on Giving Tuesday and USG's involvement soon. And I yield for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding monitor's report? If not, then the report of the city's success charity. Last but not least, we have the report of the campus chair. Oh, yes.
Neither Felix nor Warner here, so. Felix attended the executive board meeting last week on Friday. He also spoke with Treasurer Quinn Asta about RFF at the Connecting Student Leaders event. Sent more emails to Hawkeye Bar and Grill to confirm the event for this Thursday. The Campus Life Committee met today, discussed the following. First, we confirmed Felix Huron as the Commissioner for the USG Safety Commission unanimously. The Connecting Students Leader event we went over, the RSVP for which closes tomorrow. So if you have any organizations that you're a part of or that you know that you'd like to attend, who haven't RSVP'd already, make sure that that happens by the end of tomorrow. The event again will be held this Thursday, November 10th. Very excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We also discussed future plans, reaching out to the commuter center is one of them. We are also planning on reaching out to the Fraternity Sorority Life Council presidents. Other than that, if you field any questions to Felix, that is the end of the report.
Thank you. If you have any questions regarding Felix's report, please shoot him an email and the report of the campus chair shall be filed. We'll now move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Are there any announcements? Please stay after the meeting. We will now move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick announcement. If anyone's interested with the safety commission, please see me after the meeting. I have the list right here. If you could state your name and email. If you want any further information or want to plan on being part of the commission, it is something that's starting up, so I'm really looking forward to what's going to be done. So if anyone's interested, just come up to me after the meeting and it should be.
Are there any other announcements? If not, we move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? I love to. Is there a second? I second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? If not, the meeting is now adjourned at 7:06 p.m.